Monica Capra, and I will be your session host for today. Thank you for joining us for Julie Lutke, Bria Vandergaan, and Brenda Foley's presentation from age 3 to college, an eye gaze success story.
Yeah, it could be because it could be because of me.
Okay. After graduating from Mounds View High School in 1995, Julie returned to the Mounds View School District to be a teacher in the summer of 1999. Her teaching journey began with a bachelor degree from UW-EC with licenses in general education and developmental cognitive disabilities. Through her first year of teaching, she quickly learned from her students that she needed more education. She added a master's in education with additional licenses in learning disabilities and emotional behavior disorders through Bethel University, and then added ASD certification through Hamlin University. A certain student sparked her need for learning more, and thus she added a license in physical and health disabilities, which then also covers traumatic brain injury and acute and chronic health conditions. In 2016, she got that in 2016 from MSUM. With the additional nature of needs that accompany this population, next was an ATP, Assistive Technology Professional Certification, with additional training through RESNA. With over 30 years of dedicated service in Mounds View Public Schools, Brenda Foley is a professional focused on supporting students with disabilities. Her career has encompassed providing direct student services, facilitating inclusion in general education and community settings, and more recently, developing meaningful work experiences for a diverse student population. Additionally, Brenda is a strong advocate for enhanced inclusion and communication across environments, collaborating with other experts in augmentative and alternative communication, AAC users, including her own son. She holds a bachelor's degree in special education, DCD, ASD, WEH, a master's in leadership and curriculum development, and certification in child and adolescent mental health. Most of her learning, however, has come from students, families, and her colleagues. Now, before we delve into the presentation, I kindly ask everyone to please silence your cell phones or set them on vibrate to minimize disruptions. And is this presentation available on the website?
It should be.
Okay.
It is.
So it would be found on the app and available on the Charting the Seas website. I do not have a
That's
file
okay.
for Bria, so
I'm going to do that.
great.
Actually, I think Bria's going to do that.
Great.
I'm Bria Vandergaan. I'm a super senior at Irondale High School, and in the fall I'll be attending the University of Northwestern.
Perfect. Yep, we're going to turn it down just a little bit for you. Okay. All right. So, presentation terms, we already kind of went through this. Assistive Tech Professional ATP, and Bria is using a Tobii Dynavox eye gaze and i13. We already went through our credentials and where we're at, and like Bria said, she's a super senior, and she is going to be a freshman at Northwestern University in the fall. So she was recently accepted. She's graduating with her diploma this year, and she did this all by herself. She's got a couple college classes that we're finishing up with in high school this year, so we're really proud of her for that. By the end of this presentation, we're going to throughout this presentation, we're going to talk about what did Bria's education look like when she started at 3 years old, and what did that path look like from the start to the finish? How did we provide opportunities for active engagement throughout her education and her lessons? And then what should be considered when providing reasonable accommodations in the general education environment for a student like Bria, who uses eye gaze technology, is incredible incredibly smart, but doesn't have the physical access to engage in her environment independently. So, what I would like people to think about, first of all, is has everyone had an opportunity to engage with somebody who uses eye gaze? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay, so most people, not everybody. This is a really cool experience, and I'll tell you that Bria was my first student who I ever got to engage with using eye gaze, and it was a new experience for me, and I wasn't sure what to think. And the only thing I can tell you for sure is always make the least dangerous assumption, and that is to assume competence, always. Right, Bria? Assume competence always, and she's gonna talk about that more in a little bit. So in my bio, we also talked about Bria being my inspiration. She was the reason I went back and got my physical health disability license, because I didn't know what to do with all the training that I had. She came across my field and my educational experience, and I didn't know what to do. And so I needed more education in order to be able to serve her appropriately and efficiently, and I knew that I didn't know what to do. When I first met her in preschool and I was talking to the team, and they said, we don't know what to do with this little girl. She just sits here and cries in front of the locker, and she will not get her coat on, and she will not, she's so mad, and she just turns red, and we can't. And her behavior, and we were trying to do behavior modifications and whatever with her, and I looked and said, well, then you know what, guys, we gotta listen louder. We have to figure out what she's trying to tell us. And what she was trying to tell us is that everybody else had a green folder they were putting in her backpack, and her green folder was sitting in the cubby. Well, I guess we gotta listen to her, because she's not gonna go home until she had that green folder in her backpack. So that was our first clue that she really needed to be listened to, and we better figure it out, because she's gonna put us through the ringer. So from that point on, we knew that we had to figure some things out. And she wasn't one we were just gonna stick in a corner and let her learn by herself. And we weren't gonna stick her in a self-contained classroom, because she was gonna be bored. How many people have heard of the book Out of Your Mind or Out of My Mind? Yeah, if you haven't read it, Bria would tell you, is that a book you gotta read? Yeah. She told me I had to read it. And every student that I get, or anybody that I have that wants to consult on eye gaze, she told me long ago, have them read Out of My Mind before I talk to the teams, because they need to get that perception. And so I remember that the first summer she came back, between, was it first and second grade? She came back, and I always would sit at the table at our pre-school meeting, and I would look at Julie. Julie is Bria's mom, and Cedar, her dad, and I would ask Bria, how was your summer? And I would look at mom and dad for an answer, and Bria, and dad said, well, Bria, tell them. And I was like, yeah, she learned to talk over the summer? This will be good. And what did you say, Bria?
I went to Nana camp, and mom and dad forgot me there.
I was like, what? What is this thing that she has, and what am I in for? I was shocked. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I have never been so scared in my life. I didn't know what I was in for. And yeah, Bria, that was my memorable moment, but do you have any other memorable moments from when you first started using eye gaze?
One of my earliest memories was people talking to me like a baby, and I had to be like, please don't talk to me like a baby, and however old I was. and I'm really smart.
So it was really interesting in those first couple days as I was working with Bria, and the fact is that when I was sitting at the table that first day when she typed out letter for letter, word for word, I went to Nana Camp and Mom and Dad forgot me there. How could a first grader do that? A first to second grader do that? Who can't talk, who didn't have control over her body, who had a computer in front of her, who couldn't type. Right? She can't read, right? She's sitting here in front of me. She can't read. She doesn't know how to spell. How could she show me that before? She doesn't know any of that stuff. Nobody, how would I know that? How would I, she's just been sitting in class, right? Well, you know what? She got every opportunity like everybody else to be able to do all of this stuff. You had a clear yes and no. What's yes? And what's no? And her no when she's not excited is actually very calm. What's no? Yeah. So in her classroom, she was in every group, in every small group, and she wasn't able to necessarily write her letters or anything. She knew all her letters, obviously, because she could type them out letter for letter. And, you know, the other thing that I was thinking about with AAC and motor planning, Bria never used her picture vocabulary. If you know anything about AAC, and when you look at the keyboard and you look at like TD Snap and the core words and all of that stuff, and when Bria first learned how to use her computer and learned her keyboard, her motor plan was the keyboard. When we type on our keyboard with our fingers, and most of us who've been doing it for a long time, we don't even have to look down at our keyboard. Bria doesn't really have to look to remember where her letters are. She knows where they are, so she knows where to find those letters as she types. And if you look at a TD Snap or with all the pictures, that motor plan wasn't familiar to her, so she really doesn't use that plan. She knows where her 26 keys are, and she knows how to spell because she was in all of her gen ed classes, and she knows the phonetics, and she knows all that stuff. So she just uses her keyboard to spell and then uses the word prediction, because we had a conversation early on that it's going to take a long time to type out letter for letter, word for word, and you're going to lose people when you're talking to them if you are going to type out letter for letter as you're talking. So these are just some of the things that we went through. But I'll tell you what, at the beginning when we started doing all this stuff, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I know the only thing I knew was that teaching her was not going to be easy. And I've never been so scared as I'm sitting in front of Cedar and he says, it's just a computer, don't worry, don't be scared. It's a computer, you'll learn it. And I'm thinking, I don't know what that is. It's a computer, but she's not typing on it. And I was afraid, I was scared. She knew how to use it, I didn't even know how to turn it on. And I knew I needed to add to my bank of knowledge, and the only thing I really knew is I only needed to stay one step ahead of her until she passed me up. And no was never in our vocabulary with Bria. We didn't say no to her, ever. We let her try things, and the first thing we honored her with was when she wanted to play the cello in music class, and we got a cello from the music teacher, and she said, well, I can't play that. Good, because I didn't think so.
If you could it.
You can see her typing as she's going through this.
If you commit to it, you'll go places.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Bria.
That was kind of her motto all along. So she wanted to play the cello. She knew she couldn't do that. And, let's go to the next slide here. This is interesting. There we go. But we went to music and...
You do it. This is Scoog, and Scoog is going to help Bria with the recorder. We can change the musical notes so that it can look like and play what the kids are playing on the recorder, and we can help her with this. So this is her adaptation for music.
Has anybody used Scoog or played with Scoog? So Scoog, we could make it sound like the cello or the recorder or whatever she wanted to, and she just hit that button and it sounded like the musical instrument. So she got to play the musical instruments while the kids were playing the cello or the guitar or the recorder. She was able to play Scoog, and she loved it. She thought that was a fun instrument to play, right? Yeah.
You do it.
Oh, I don't know why. There we go. And that day, she told me, "Thanks for everything today, music. You're the best." You can see that she's still learning her grammar. That was just in what, 2nd grade? Something like that. So we're just learning our grammar at that time. So one of the things that we knew from the very beginning is that we needed to start confronting the hurdles of access. And we knew that with access like this and technology, we need to address the future. And this was something I knew we needed to figure out, because if she was going to be using this and we didn't know what the future held, but at 3rd grade, she was going to have to start taking these state tests. And by the time she went to college, if they were going to make her take tests to get into college, these tests needed to be accessible for her. So I only had this much time to figure out how to get these tests accessible for her. And that was my mission. From 3rd grade on, right? Yeah. So I contacted her assessment coordinator because we had huge hills to climb, and at this point we just needed to start a packing list. We didn't know what that list was going to entail because we'd never climbed this mountain before, so we just started jotting down what are the things. And we started with how are we going to access beyond what was on here. And at that time she was actually just using Compass, I believe, was the first platform we used with Toby Dynabox, and I think Katie Champ is in here somewhere. So at the time it was Danelle that was working on with us, but Katie is now our Toby rep, and we just had Compass, and Compass really only had the keyboard that we were using within that platform at the time. So that was a whole new thing. Bria was using Compass, and at the time we were trying to figure out how can we use something beyond just the platform, and how can we engage with something beyond just the screen. At that point in time, we really didn't know how to use the web very much. So something called Accessit came out, and I don't know if anybody remembers back to the days when you plugged in this little dongle and you could use a mouse that was on the side of the screen, and started figuring out how to use that. I didn't know how to do this. I was not the expert. I knew it was going to take a village. And again, I knew I only needed to be one step ahead, and that one step ahead at this time was just knowing the right people to call. So Danelle came over, look at Bria, you were just a tiny little tyke then, and she was spicy, and she was frustrated, and she was not having it. And it didn't take us very long, and look at the eye gaze technology we had back then. It was a Surface Pro with an eye gaze bar on it. So it wasn't really precise, not as precise as these ones that we have now. But she persisted, and the grit and determination she had was unbelievable. Her dad sitting behind her, and we're walking through this, and actually this was an MCA practice test at this point in time. So we started using this, and Bria quickly learned how to use the mouse and how to get on the web and how to access Google Docs and Google Classroom and do her assignments. And then later she learned how to use Adobe Acrobat and then get into Facebook and the online games and the World Wide Web. This took a long time. It took a lot of practice. And this young lady blew my mind. There is no way I could even do half of the stuff she can do as accurately and quickly as she could. So she also then told me that day, and these are screen captures of when she was doing this. We had no idea what she was capable of doing because we'd never given her the tools before. And she said, "Oh, I like playing. Can you order me one of these as soon as possible?" She was eager and excited and unstoppable, and she was only limited by the technology that we had put in front of her. And she said, "I can write about John Schuster." Does anybody know who John Schuster is? You're gonna learn.
He's my mom's brother, and in 2018, he won the gold medal at the Olympics in curling.
And then she told me, everyone's gonna know about John. And everyone's gonna know that she's John's niece. And then she can write books and post articles. And she can have a family blog. All I needed to do was give her a platform in which to do it. Permission granted, young lady. It's all yours. And her dream will come true. And doesn't that say it all? Well, that was just the start. Because then she said, "And by the way, Julie, I want to be in the school play and participate in robotics and sell concessions, and I want to go to college, and I want to be a graphic designer." And I'm just the lowly AT. Yeah. I didn't know what to do. Okay. I can't say no to that. Right? Yeah. So we did. We did. And she said, "Make sure you show them what I did." So she was in the school art show just recently. And she went to kindergarten and showed her art project. By herself, I might add, because you kicked us all out. You wouldn't let us go with you. We went to check on her, and she was too busy presenting to a group of kindergartners. And she was like, "What? See ya, bye?" What did she tell you, Brenda?
You can leave now.
You can leave now. Yeah, we weren't allowed to be there. Before, it was like, "No, I need you right here. Don't leave me. I need you." And now it was like, "See ya, bye." So the story goes, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, or rather, one wheel in the sand pit, and 3 large men in a giggle bot. And what was that about? So, do you have anything on there because of that?
One of my earliest memories
Not that
was
one.
people talking to me like a baby, and I had to.
It's okay. So she told me that this one, it was kind of like she had just gotten her chair, and it was kind of like learning to walk, right? You went out on the playground and went right into the sand pit, right? It was really fun because it was like trying out my new wheels until she got stuck, and we had to get 3 large men out and dig her out of the sand pit. That was fun. And then, well, we had to get a driver's license and an obstacle course because she liked to run over feet. So she had to do that, and our PT and I, we had to work on that one. And then Toby Toby in the arm has had a couple accidents here and there, right? It's amazing. This rebuild this one's looking pretty good. Dad and Mountain Movers have had many tune-ups on this, and they've got a pretty good design right now, don't they? This one hasn't. It's looking pretty good. Mom, how are your walls?
They've seen better days.
Yeah, but she's doing pretty good.
Yes.
She's actually a very excellent driver.
It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, so she's actually doing really good. And then there was one day with texting and driving. Sometimes we still like to drive on right and left side of the hallway, and one day she came back as a joke to me. She came back and she showed me that she could get her screen to be see-through, and she could still type with her keyboard kind of see-through. And she thought that was pretty funny to show me that she could do that. It was a joke, but I told her no texting and driving, and so she came back and showed me how she could do that. She's got a great sense of humor. And there was a couple reminders that she really feels like people should be watching out for her. And in reality, not everybody is going to watch out for her. And yet she said, yes, but then their feet will get run over. And that's true. It is true. So more on her independence. She has a wonderful companion named Greg, and Greg has retired at the moment, but I remember this was at the end of elementary school, beginning of middle school, I believe. I think so. I wrote a letter about, a letter of reference for a deserving young lady for a Can-Do Canine, and the next thing I knew, this young lady was writing a script introducing her service dog named Greg. So this was our project that we needed to do. So I wrote the letter requesting it. He went through all the training, and then Bria came back, and we had to figure out a way to introduce him to the students before she brought him in. And I said, Bria, in order for Greg to come in, you're going to have to introduce him and tell them what Greg's responsibility is and what their responsibility is. So the only thing I told her is, I need you to write a script, and we're going to make a video, and then we're going to show it to the students before he comes in. You need to include what is a service dog, what do your peers need to know about him, and I need you to use the phrase tools versus toy. I'll record the video, and after the video, we'll share the video, and then Greg can come to school with you. So, Bria did the video, and here is the video of Greg coming, or of what you did with Greg before he came to you. Okay, now, this video is not coming up. I can go out and find it on YouTube, Chastity, but why is it not?
I'm not sure. Do you want to pull it? You could pull it up on YouTube. Will it take you? How long is the video?
Well, it's 60 seconds, but it's kind of an important video.
Yeah, I think you should try to find it. It's a good one. Sometimes not before.
Okay, well, maybe while Brenda's doing hers, I can, well, let me see. Oh, this makes me sad that this is not on here.
Well, I can talk about being a case manager.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Because this is,
So by the time Bria came to me at high school, a lot of those roadblocks and big things were kind of solved or in the middle of being solved, right? I was a little nervous, but not as nervous as maybe Julie was in the early days, because we already had.
Don't you love technical issues?
I love technical issues.
We already had your mom and your dad and Julie taking care of a lot of the big things, the access, the ag aids, all those kinds of things. So I feel like coming to me, an Irondale staff, I was more of just a behind the scenes gal that just kind of made sure everything flowed, the communication between paras, the training, videos about how to hook up Greg on the side of your chair, how to get the coat on and off, feeding, lunch, getting you to robotics, getting you into school play, like all those kinds of like, that was mostly my role, I think, and hanging out with you a lot. I guess my biggest like hurdle in the beginning was just getting to know you so that I could then be prepared and train people so they knew what they needed to know ahead of time so that you always were in a safe, comfortable spot. I'm gonna pause for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I wanted to kind of talk about two things. One was when you were younger, you have a body that doesn't work always, and the people that didn't know you, and there were a lot of moments of overwhelm and a lot of regulation and a lot of really kind of hard things we had to work through together. Remember those? We had to co-regulate and then kind of just calm down and figure out where to go next. And that is something that you have grown like so much in over the past 5 years. Would you agree? Yeah, like you are like a trooper. Just think of not having access to your communication device all of a sudden.
Here we go.
Hi, I'm Bria. Today I'm here to talk to you about Greg, my service dog who is going to be joining me at school. A service dog is a specially trained dog that helps someone do a task. For example, picking up a pencil I dropped, or pushing a button to open an automatic door. There are very important rules you need to follow around Greg. For example, absolutely no petting him when you see him at school. This is crucial because you could distract him. Same goes for talking to him. Basically ignore him. Greg is my tool, not your toy. Please be considerate. And if you're ever curious, just ask me and I will try to answer you as quick as I can. It might take me a few minutes, but if you don't ask, you won't know. You were born curious. Thanks for listening. Bye.
So that was Bria's video that she had made for her, for Greg to come to school. And she did a really nice job at that. She wrote her script and we recorded it. And Greg came to school after that. And actually we've used it a couple other times for other students who brought service dogs to school. So it's kind of famous out there now, huh? But Greg was really important to her because it also provided her confidence to start having her do some more things on her own within the school building, right? Okay, so you're gonna get to come up again in a minute, I think. But from Bria, from your perspective, what's important to you? First of all, you had said about your friends.
Because of my disability, it's more difficult for me to make friends, which means the friends I do make I really get to know really well. As I have gotten older, I have realized I don't have to be friends with everyone.
And then, how about your teachers? What's important to you about your teachers?
Teachers for me are really important. A good teacher can make even a more difficult class more enjoyable by just listening and working with me.
And Julie, I'm going to put you on the spot from your perspective. What has been...
Oh, don't let me use
Don't let... I'll turn it off and you can use this one. How about that? What's been important for you, for Bria, as she's been going through the school system?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question. I know you kind of mentioned this to me last night, and I spent some time thinking about it. Sorry. Hate being put on the spot for these kinds of things. Sorry.
It's okay. If you'd rather pass, you can, but...
No, because I think probably one of the most important things is belief. Like, having a system that believes in your kid is
more than I can even, I'm so grateful for it. I mean, because of that belief, Julie and all of the people in our schools have always made this so easy for us. Like, you hear all these horror stories about IEPs and the fight that parents have to put up, and because they had that belief from the very beginning that she could do anything she set her mind to, which we had, but to have other people like behind you for that was just something I can't even like begin to see how grateful I am for that. So Bria's an incredible kid. She's one of a kind, I think. But she will challenge you, and the fact that they were all up for the challenge is just amazing. And that's not always the case. I mean, they could have very easily from day one, when before she had her device, like put her in the corner and just let her be there and just exist. But they didn't. You know, they just all just really got behind that twinkle in her eye that they saw from the beginning, and just helped her to get to this point. And it's just incredible. So sorry.
See, you're pretty unique. You're pretty special. We all just really came around, and Bria has challenged us, created opportunities for us to embrace and really carry through our careers. It's been something that I will take forever, and she has paved more paths for more people than I could ever imagine in so many ways. And Bria told me I had to talk about COVID for a quick minute because this pandemic rocked our world. What is this? No. No. What the heck? So we did these things, but a quick bit on, so in order for us to be able to teach during COVID for Bria, we had no less than 5 screens to teach her that needed to be there and be present and have eyes watching. It's a whole conversation for another day, but we had to have a screen there and a computer there. We had to have I think I wrote this down here. Bria had a communication device, a phone, and a computer to control the TV and the Amazon Echo. Those were hers. And then we had my cell phone, the Kara's cell phone, Dad's cell phone, and a camera that looked into the room. The Amazon Echo was for Bria to use her device to call the Echo that could call Dad. Oh, hang on. That could call Dad in case she needed something because we couldn't be in the room. And there was only, one time where you fell over? And we had to get somebody to go get you and pick you up. So COVID was a whole nother challenge in and of itself. Needless to say, she was one of the very first ones that came back because it was really not so good. Did you put something in there about how the pandemic impacted you? No? Okay, I have it then. The pandemic, she said, how the pandemic impacted her. In the beginning of the pandemic, she lost all her in-person support. And it made it very difficult to access her assignments in specific classes. We had to pull them up virtually on a TV screen.
I'm missing that.
That's okay, I have it for you. We had to pull them up virtually on a TV screen that she could see, and then she would type them in. We were on the same Google Doc on our side as she was on her side. It took 5 screens sometimes just to work with the para online. Nobody enjoyed it, and as soon as it was safe, she went back to school for the physical support. So the next one we have is the conversation on testing. This is one that I think people have asked. This is, after lots of trials, this is what we ended up with for MCA testing. We had to do I don't usually stick her in a corner, Julie, promise. But this one was MCA testing, and this is how we had to do the 10th grade reading, I think. And I had to order 3 big books on the MCA testing, because at this time, they were not playing nice with me, and we were only allowed 1. They wouldn't let me rip it up. And I said, well, that's not gonna work, because she needed to be able to access all the pages at one time. She couldn't ask me to flip back and forth through them so that she could see the whole story, and she needed to be able to see the questions. So this is what I had to do, and I had to hang them up on the wall so she could find the answers and the questions. And then I sat over at this table, so I actually had the 4th big book, and she would tell me the answers and I would just circle them. And then we had the answer sheet. Yes?
Has that gotten easier for you as you talked about, like you're preparing for
So
college?
yeah, because it's all online now.
Okay.
So
We ended up waiting like for multiple years. We were like, we'll do it next year. Let's wait until next year. And then I was looking at colleges, and most of them didn't require the ACT, so we decided not to, especially since I was accepted to the University of Northwestern.
So that was for the ACTs. For the MCAs, we did kind of put those off too until we could take them at the last minute. But the MCAs were hard. We did them on the whiteboard one year, the big whiteboard, so we could scroll through them, but she still couldn't see every page at the same time. So I think, and we haven't taken the MCAs, she's a super senior this year, so we haven't taken them for 3 years now, I think, 2 or 3 years. And this was our last attempt at the reading one. So this is where we ended with this, and this is what we had decided on for the last one. And the best attempt that we could get, so she could see all the pages, she had access to everything independently, and I just sat back and scribed those for her.
I know they've recently made accommodations a little bit more choices for like DHH and blind, but like there's been very few ones without special permission for that physical access.
Yeah, so this is the best way that I figured out how to do it at this point in time.
Looks good.
Yeah.
I'm with NT, I'm an alternate assessment specialist, I'm one of 2 of us who does the approved accommodations and things. That's why I came, because to me this is super exciting. We do have an assistive technology form that you can use with that. This is part of the reason why we worked really hard, though. You have to wait until assessments change.
Yes.
We can add accommodations. So for reading, it is available now. Like, you would probably need to do an approved accommodation just because this is unique and there's a lot of like just guidelines we need to make sure we're working together. But definitely, we want to make instruction tied in as much as we can. I mean,
So you're the one Mary Staub told me this year that there was a new accommodation system.
So now we know who to email.
Well, there you go. I have my name. I'm just kidding.
Perfect.
Stacy Stenzer for me, but yeah. So that's I just was like, when we were talking about it, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I'm like, this ties in just to let people know if you have students, because we do specifically say, like, I mean, it's very. IB systems are different. I mean,
Yes.
You know, we're not the experts in those, but definitely working with you to try and figure out how to make that work.
Perfect. Yeah, I know that was the best thing that we had come up with at the time, and
I was like, who told you no?
I know.
Because I've been there 5 years and we were not. They didn't get to us, like get to me.
Okay. Well, Mary and I have been working on, so that's good. But that's the way we had to finally do it. And when we were told no, we're like, well, we're gonna do it. We're not gonna rip the books apart. We're gonna put them up here, and that's the way we did it. So, anyways, we're in such a much better place. And then, like Maria said, with the ACTs, last year was the last time the paper version was available. Now they're all online. And Bria had every intention of taking the ACTs this year. And she got into Northwestern before she needed to take them. And as a team, and Bria being her own adult guardian herself, she decided that she didn't need to take it. And
we ended up waiting like for multiple years. We were like, we'll do it next year. Let's wait until next year. And then I was looking at colleges, and most of them didn't require the ACT, so we decided not to, especially since I was accepted to the University of Northwestern.
yeah, and it would take away from her learning time, and because it takes so much extra time for her to complete anything, and she's in a lot of college level courses right now, and there's also a timeline on how she needs to get that done, we needed to do that. So Bria, I don't think you have anything on your role in your IEP meetings, but during her IEP meetings, she was in them with us, and she helped brainstorm ideas on how to make sure that she was involved. She's so good on helping to think about accommodations. She would never even fathom the idea of cheating. So when thinking about alternative ways to demonstrate her knowledge, she would come up with ways so that the teachers, she could show them that she knows what she's talking about. And I think that's been really beneficial because her accommodations, her modifications, most of the time come from her, you know, and when teachers work with her, I think they really understand how intuitive she is. There was one teacher that we worked with who was not understanding when we said that she can't take notes and listen to the lecture at the same time. And he's like, well, just give her fill in the blanks. She can't take notes while she's listening to the lecture. Well, how about I just give her matching and she can just, you know, I'll just give her, like, she can just circle. She can't take notes. And Bria looks at me and goes, they just don't get it. And I'm like, they don't. Bria has one brain. Her eyes need to be run by her brain. She can either take notes or listen. You can wait for her to take notes and then finish your sentence and wait for her to take notes, or you can give her the notes. It's up to you. And he just didn't get it. So we finally did get him to understand that he needed to just give her the notes. But it really, I don't think people understand unless you try the eye gaze system. And we did have one principal who actually did try the eye gaze system, and he was like, oh, I get it. So it really takes people doing this. Brenda, you talked a quick minute about being a case manager. If you want to kind of talk a little bit more about
I
that.
think we've been covering a lot of what I wanted to cover. We don't have much time. Most of the teachers were, I think, mostly of math, of how to demonstrate your knowledge. Math teachers walked right alongside you, and we figured that out. That was really great. I guess the one thing I would like to really share is your self-determination and advocacy, and we're going to remove parent support. You're going to go from class A to class B on your own. You were the driver of all that. Like when it was time to do it, you decided what class we're going to do first, and then it kind of organically took on its own. All of a sudden I'm here and she's going to that class without anybody. I didn't know that. So I think that the work that we've done at Irondale has been like really good, and it's just going to be good for college because there's going to be other things that come up, and you're just going to work with your family and figure out what is the solution to a challenge. And I've just been really honored to be able to be with you all these years, have lunch, go on field trips. Oh wait, no, I didn't get to go on the field trip, but I did get your busing set up.
There you go.
So I don't have anything more. These guys are the experts.
So I'll just go through these last couple things pretty quick, so if there's any questions. But Bria did walk with her classmates last year, and and Greg went with her. Greg was a can-do canine, or is a can-do canine, so I had a gown, my aunt made a gown for Greg too, and he had a gown that said can-do, did it, graduated. Bria and Greg, and they walked together through the graduation ceremony, and this was them graduating. And while she did graduate with her peers, we did as a team decide that she was going to come back for a super senior year because she didn't get all of her credits done because she had to do, every year she had to do.
That was probably one of my favorite memories.
Oh, good. She had to do DAPE every year because of her physical disability. We needed to make sure that she was getting out of her chair and doing her stretches. And then we wanted her to graduate with her diploma on her own credits, not on an IEP. So in order to make up the classes and the credits that she needed, then we gave her an extra year so that she could have that this year. And she's got college credits, a bunch of college credits that she's gonna get this year and some last year. I think she took AP courses. So she'll have a bunch of college credits. And we wanted to make sure that she took AP Math this year so she could get that out of the way. And we made a bunch of accommodations in that college course so that we could have access over those accommodations and make sure she could pass that under our watch because we have the history with her and how she can demonstrate her knowledge with that. So we did that. And then Bria had some more autonomy in her decision making and the years of history with us.
Bria, do you get exhausted when you're doing your schoolwork with your eye gaze? Do you need more breaks?
What was your question?
She wants to know, do you get tired when you're doing your schoolwork? Do you need more breaks?
With the eye gaze, yeah.
Because you need to use your eye gaze.
Well, she's typing that too, I think, from the last slide that you were talking about how the decision for her to be a super.
Honestly, it's not the eye gaze, it's my brain.
The planning for that actually, you guys made that decision. I heard about it later that in like 9th grade, she decided that she would add that extra year. So just knowing that she wasn't going to have the opportunity to do electives and maybe look into some of the things that she was more interested in, she wanted to still have that. And so the planning started really early. It wasn't like a last minute decision to add that extra year into.
Yeah.
I tried it for like an hour and a half when I was learning to use one, and I was done the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna keep going while you finish that up, okay?
Julie, do you have like service minutes weekly or like, what did that look like?
So right now, this year I do. Most of the minutes that I have done have been more front loading at the beginning of the year to get her set up with access and that kind of stuff, training paras.
Honestly, it's not the eye gaze, it's my brain. Because I even sleep with the screen on.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I front load a lot of my minutes and then I'm always accessible. I always have my phone on me.
True fact.
Even in the evenings, I'm accessible to parents too. but I front load my minutes this year because we've been working on preparing Bria for next year and moving on. I meet with her weekly, and we've gone through college applications, preparation for things, preparing for next year, getting some quick fire buttons in for just some of the things that I know are triggers for her, for social emotional things, things like that. So there are some things, Toby Dynavax. Okay, we have to work on quick fire buttons. She can't add quick fires. There you go. So yeah, I don't have a lot of minutes because I have too many kids. I have 89 kids on my caseload, so it's hard to do. And at the end of their time with me, I try to put more minutes in to make sure that they're ready to move on.
That's speak.
I will just tell you quick. Bria says how people should talk to her using eye gaze. Make sure.
That's speak automatically.
Oh, the quick fires that speak automatically for her. Don't guess what she's trying to say because you might be wrong. And circle back. All these things are in the presentation, so I'm going to let you guys kind of read through that. All of her accommodations and what she wants. We've been working on this. This has been a big thing for us this year too, is looking at what accommodations she wants for her college stuff. So she's nervous after school because we really know her well, and it took us a long time to get there and for her to trust us. And she's very particular on how things go. We've had many confrontations with each other on how to do things, and she has had to learn how to let go of some particular orders and that we can get to the same outcome with different middle pieces. And that's really hard if you think about it. If you had to let go of things that you know how you want it done to get to the same ending point, I can't imagine having to watch somebody do things for me. That's hard. And we have worked through this, and she's trained us very well. And she is going to have a whole new set of people that she needs to work with. So those are things that are difficult in thinking about what's happening for next year for her that she's nervous about. So is there anything else that you want to say, or does anybody have any other questions for us? Yeah.
Okay, so Bria, what would you say to like a younger version of yourself or a child who's younger, to like just a piece of advice for somebody?
What would you give as a piece of advice for a younger you?
Keep being yourself.
If there are other questions, yeah?
So as a team, how did you guys decide when she was really little? So I have a student I'm thinking of in particular who just went from birth to 3. This is his first school experience this year. He has eye gaze. How did you guys decide as a team to do more gen ed experiences versus like level 3 complete pull out? Like where did you trial and error?
You know what? My bottom line for any of these young ones is this is the closest they'll ever be to their peers. There is no reason why we should be making decisions other than putting them with their peers, because we don't know what we don't know, and we shouldn't be the ones making the decision if they should or shouldn't. We should be making the decision to keep them with their peers until the gap grows so big that they can't. There's no reason we should not be the ones making that decision. That's not on us. They deserve the opportunity to be with their peers. If it was on me and it was a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, they'd have opportunity for all of it.
Okay. So
That would be my hope, is that they get everything, in hopes that with the opportunity to have everything, they get all the holes filled as a pre-teach and a reteach. So I'm an advocate for give it all to them. Don't hold anything back. It's not our place to say that they shouldn't have that opportunity.
So going back to the assumed competence in that sense as well.
Absolutely. Yep. It's that pre-referral, or the intervention while they're young. I mean, you can't tell me they can't until you've given an opportunity to say that they can.
Especially because so many of the assessments, I feel like, aren't appropriate. They don't give us
and
any
you
information.
haven't given an opportunity to say that they can't, or that they can.
And
So.
your admin was obviously on board with that thought process as well. It wasn't a fight.
I don't know that our admin even had a choice.
Okay.
Right?
Got it.
So it's a team decision. It's not an admin decision. It's a team decision. So that's where, yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Oh, yeah, hang on.
Another thing I want to caution you about.
I know some sessions are going, what time are they done at, Monica?
This one's 7:30.
But are some of them going until? Some are done at 2. So if people want to go, they can. We'll answer questions for as long as people want. I also, as Bria's doing this, I have something to add to this. Because she's onto something here that I completely agree with. I'll say, and before you say this, I'm going to say something else. Eye gaze is a term for more than just a technology, a high-tech device. Eye gaze is eye gaze across the board. So whether you're believe me, Toby gets laryngitis, and when Toby gets laryngitis, it's frustrating. When I get laryngitis, it's frustrating. You better have a backup plan. So eye gaze boards, things like that, you need to have a backup plan. And gaze boards, giving a yes-no option, giving a do you want this or this, or having your main screen printed out so that you can give a scanning option. Is it in this row? Is it in this row? Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? So that you can have backup options are so important. When she gets fatigued, or if anybody else gets fatigued, just reminding people that just because they have an eye gaze doesn't mean they're always going to be able to access that.
Don't force someone to use an eye gaze. That is really important. You're not going to get a fast result from someone who doesn't want to.
It's so true. And this can be a very expensive paperweight for somebody who doesn't engage with it. So you can get an eye gaze device, and if they're not into it, and frankly, if someone has a headache, if they're tired, if their eyes are dry, if the lighting is too much or whatever, and you have to give an opportunity for breaks at times too, because you just never know. And that listen louder, looking at the behavior that's coming along with what's happening throughout the day, if they're utilizing it or not utilizing it. I've got kids that'll play possum, and they just put their head over to the side, and what is it? You don't want to use it today, or?
I feel that is something people forget.
Yeah. So just knowing that there's other modes of communication and other ways, if this isn't the way they want to talk today, that there's other things that we can use. And I think one other thing is that I've seen oftentimes where between teachers, therapists, and even ATs like myself, teachers want to just put the device in front of the kids and say, tell me. But they forget that there's a lot that goes into it. It's language-based, but it's not just language that they need to know. It's the symbol, it's the vocabulary, it's, if it's a foreign, like they speak Spanish and you're doing English, but it's also a foreign language to them because you're not speaking, verbally speaking, you're speaking computer speaking. So it's a different interaction and they don't see you speaking the same way I'm speaking. So why do I want to speak in that language? And it's hard, and sometimes, and more often with gen ed teachers, it's been a very interesting trial to...
I feel that is something people forget about. You're not going to get results from someone who doesn't want to.
Yeah. It's interesting to give an eye gaze to a teacher and have them try it because they get a different perspective. Especially somebody who doesn't want to do an accommodation, and then you give it to them and you ask them to try doing what they're asking the student to do.
Especially with those younger kids and wait time. That's what we've started doing when they're like, well, how much wait? It's like, okay, you tell us this is what I gaze, and then they're like, oh.
Mm-hmm. I know one of the things that Bria doesn't like is when I sit over her shoulder and watch her type. It's like having somebody watch your thoughts, right?
I'll chime in from a Toby Dinebox perspective. That's why we put that message window in the back, is to encourage people to be face-to-face interacting with these individuals because they deserve to be face-to-face with us like we interact with everybody else around them. And it's our instinct as humans to want to see what they're doing, so we just naturally go behind them. And then it's so frustrating for them to have somebody on their shoulder constantly. And so having the message window on the back really encourages the rest of us to be on the other side and face the person we're communicating with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other questions, comments, things for Bria that you're interested in knowing? Yeah?
You should do graphic design.
Are you gonna do graphic design? She's really excited about it.
I'm gonna connect her with another young lady that does graphic design in college with IAs too. So I'm gonna connect these girls together.
Fantastic, did you hear that?
That goes along with that presuming competence is from, again, a Toby Dinebox perspective. I've done this for 16 years, and kids that are given opportunities to be educated at a young age, just like their peers, the drastic difference that you see
I missed
at
that.
high school graduation age versus those that are separated and not given the same opportunities is massively different. I see kids with the exact same diagnosis, the exact same cognitive abilities. One is 18 watching cartoons, and one is 18 for two totally different directions based on the education they were given at a younger age. The more we can presume competence and the more we can give them opportunities sooner rather than later, the more we can give them access to AAC as young as possible. Even if we don't know if they're going to need it the rest of their life, but just giving them opportunities sooner rather than later is always better.
So cool. Anyone else have anything? Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking. Loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't